It's time for the Steve and Kyle podcast with Steve.
When she was up at her parents' house last weekend,
Yes.
I was here. I've been off from work for the last 2 weeks.
Did you live off like Hungry Man TV dinners?
Yes. Salisbury steak.
Just walk around your boxes with your hand down there the whole day?
Going, rah, rah, rah.
I mean, just open the slider and just hack a loogie?
Just be out the door.
And Kyle.
We're in a time crunch today.
Yeah, it's a short episode.
Got a
if it
hard out, because, and that's going out,
Hitting the town
hitting the town.
on a Saturday morning. Gonna go paint the town wine. That feels like a girls' trip shirt that everybody would wear matching,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you wear it to Nashville.
Yeah, right.
The
Time
town
to
wine.
paint the town wine.
Now, here they are, two guys who are living in style, Steve and Kyle.
I know we've said this before, but I think we figured it out.
Nope. Nope. Those are not so famous last words.
We are, shall we say, cooking with gas today.
Are we, though?
Everything's running.
Everything we do, typically, once it goes awry, we end up having contingency plans. That's why when we lost power a month ago, and we were so upset because we had 3 sources of power.
Yeah.
How could we possibly lose power? We had three methods to prevent that from happening.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we have... I'm actually more nervous than ever.
Yeah.
Because we have a new computer on your end.
New
You
computer.
finally threw the old the jobs join out.
It was put up or shut up. I was having an issue with my computer earlier in the week, and it gave me one of those signs where I thought, if I don't immediately turn this off and save everything I'm working on, it could be gone forever. So did that, and then I finally clicked purchase on the computer that I had in my shopping cart
For a year.
for easily a year.
Now, is this something, though, because, and I'm not implying anybody does this, but that's a purchase. That's not I'm going to the store to get pasta.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's a significant purchase.
Right. So this is something that I believe you've implied Annette has told you, probably because she's tired of hearing about it.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
Yeah, many times.
So she was ready for you to be gone with the old jobs joint to bring 2.0 into the house.
Yeah, and it wasn't until she had to... she used my computer 2 weeks ago for something and just said, that thing is insanely slow. How do you deal with that?
She's never used a think brick.
But I've used it every day for the last however many
used to
years.
it.
So I just get used to it. So it slows down a little bit, slows down a little bit, slows down a little bit. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't really notice it. But her going from really never using... She barely uses a computer. She does everything on her phone, which...
Oh, I thought you were about to say typewriter.
No, she's just... She doesn't have a ton that she has to do on the computer.
Right.
Like her Etsy store, all of her orders come in to the app on her phone. She's able to... It drives me insane watching her.
Yes.
Yeah, I need a bigger screen.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know, I feel like I need a mouse. or a trackpad or something, just so I feel like I'm much more efficient.
It's absurd because in the scheme of things, phone screens are now 5 inches tall by 3 inches wide, whereas a typical laptop screen and a Mac is smaller than most general other laptops. It's 2-3 times bigger.
Yeah.
It's a functionality thing for me. I much prefer working on a think brick.
Well, I like having numerous things. I like having my my browser in the top left, and then messages are in the bottom right.
You a window splitter? You split?
Of course.
Come on.
What am I, a caveman?
Yeah, you're not an idiot.
Jeez.
Now,
kind of embarrassed or kind of offended that you even had to ask that.
Is that going to double as side gig laptop as well? Do you not use it?
No.
Hear me out.
Got the laptop at the side gig too.
Hear me out.
And look, when that one crashes, I'm going top of the line.
I was going to say, you smash that one with a hammer.
Yeah.
And then you start bringing that one in, and you say, hey, guys, I figure I'll just double. I'll double up.
Yeah, double dip.
So if you'll go ahead and take care of the purchase price of this, I'll just use it here. And
so
then they don't realize.
Basically, I'm just going to them and saying, give me money.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't realize.
I like it.
That you don't do anything anyway.
Oh, no.
No offense.
No. Oh, man. I was about to be offended, but then I realized.
I saw your hand going up.
I realized. You got a point.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they look at you every now and again. You smash a few buttons, say podcast posted. Yeah. And then they realize, money well spent.
Yeah. And I maybe make some nonverbal, like, hey, plug in the input.
Right. Like, you go up to the mixer like twice a morning and just shuffle all of the knobs.
Shuffle them around.
Like, you're a glorified shike, but just for something that matters.
Right.
No offense to Dan.
I'm sure he's not offended. Not offended at all.
Can't be. I wanted to circle back. So right at the start, I said famous last words, and as typical, that got me thinking.
Because as of right now, we're 6 minutes in.
Yeah.
0 issues.
Well, and we mentioned contingency plan. Our contingency plan, because for some reason this mixer has, over the years, decided at random recordings.
Over the what?
Over the years, right? Or year?
Over
2 years.
Over the 9 months?
No, it's 2 years. We bought it in 2021.
2021.
Yeah, we are coming up on the 2-year end. We're at 22 months this week. Happy 22-month anniversary to this piece of garbage.
We didn't buy this last year? I thought we bought it when we moved into this studio.
March 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, and it had randomly decided to stop at exactly 10 minutes. So that's why when we mentioned the first 17 minutes last week were gone, it's because the recording stopped at 10 minutes, but we didn't notice it until 17, whatever.
Do you think any podcast talks about their technical issues more than this one?
No. I just need people to understand that there's still no rhyme or reason. We reached out to the company. The company has no answer other than to shrug their shoulders and say, well, sounds like the device is faulty.
Yeah, you were upset with them.
I still am. I still am.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why. Sometimes things just break, and there's not a reason for it.
Right, but I still don't think that there was even an iota of the possible problem solving, considering what that is and what's going on there. Mm-hmm. Not just in settings, but internally everything. The fact that you sent one short video in one image, and she said, well, that's probably it. It's probably broken. That aggravated me a little bit.
What would you do? What is? I
don't know if there has to be some type of support line or tech support or equipment support outside of saying our only solution is you can send it back to us and then be without a mixer.
I don't know. I thought that they did what they could. Yeah, it's frustrating, but things break. It's all computer chips and stuff. Like, what do you?
I uninstalled Zoom, totally unrelated company, on my computer. Uninstalled it. I was so upset.
Well, you showed them.
So both Zooms now taken strays.
I'm sure they're still feeling that pain.
But anyway, the problem's not solved. Our temporary or permanent solution is to just start recording so we can get past 10 minutes before we actually start talking.
So we don't actually lose anything.
Yes.
So it's going to be really disappointing when it craps out. It decides that its new out is 31 minutes or whatever. Right. And it just...
But in the scheme of things, the other option is what we did before, which is another sell this for however many hundreds of dollars, buy a whole different one for hundreds of dollars more.
And I'm on board with that. I'm okay with that. I'm happy to do it. I'm a tech nerd, so I like when new stuff shows up.
Right, absolutely. I am okay with the idea of getting the new, but man, we've used this thing once a week for less than 2 years.
Yeah.
That is less than 100 uses.
That means resale value is through the roof.
We could put lightly used on it.
Very lightly used.
Yeah, and we can sign the bottom.
Not sure if that would.
Did you scrape the battery acid out of the holster on the bottom? Okay, good.
Yeah, it's clear. I don't think for a minute I'm leaving those brand new AA's in there.
Are you kidding me? In this economy? So I wanted to go back. I said famous last words when we were talking about that. And I wanted to ask you because I don't think I ever have.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, sorry. New laptop. That is a lot quieter.
It is so much nicer.
It kind of makes me want to get one of those rubber pads for mine.
Yeah.
Just so it can quiet it down, because that is one thing that really irritates me on when I'm listening back is the sound of keyboard.
Yeah.
And I do not know how to minimize it outside of just
it's
using, dainty fingers, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's just...
But I don't think I've ever asked you, how do you handle it when you see someone, let's say out in the wild, for lack of a better expression. Mm-hmm. You're out getting lunch. You're out at this grocery store, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone comes up to you and says, "Oh my gosh, are you Steve?" From the show
Steve and Kyle podcast.
Yeah, from the show that put my other favorite show out of work last year. And
I loved Johnny the Duck and Lisa.
That's right. I just saw Lisa. She's actually up front. She's bagging the groceries.
Nothing wrong with that job. It's a perfectly respectable job.
No, I'm just saying. But Lisa went from morning radio,
morning yuck yuck,
doing bits and hits and Holly Weird Ketchup. You know what it is? That's a good bit. Holly Weird Ketchup, and then the sounder is of like a ketchup bottle spraying. Yeah. I don't know how we don't have our own show. When those yahoos that you work with retire, you and I got to put a tape out.
Holly Weird.
The Holly Weird Ketchup. And then you and I, and then, obviously we have the hundreds of pages that are distributed nightly with news, and then we only dig the back of the pile.
Yeah.
So we're only giving out news updates. Like, did you hear the news that Robbie Knievel passed away?
Did he really?
Yeah.
When?
Yesterday. But that's the level of news I want to give out.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, pancreatic cancer. Robbie Knievel passed away, lost in the news cycle of Lisa Marie Presley passing away.
Ugh.
By the way, 54 with the look of a 75-year-old.
Robbie Knievel?
No, Lisa Marie Presley.
Oh, okay.
No offense to her.
Rest in peace.
Do we need to eulogize Lisa Marie Presley now? Didn't she have one song back in like 2002?
Oh, I think it was before that. I thought it was 90s.
And it's such a weird phenomenon that children of singers feel like, well, I guess I need to be a singer now too. No, you don't. Not everybody's that good.
Yeah, I kind of understand it though. I mean, you're living in that shadow. You want to kind of carve out your own piece of the world, but you would think that you'd go something different. Like maybe she was a great sculptor, or
yes, a
fantastic chef or something.
Yeah.
It seems weird that you would try to follow in those footsteps.
Imagine saying,
it's somebody who some people consider him like the greatest performer ever.
Right.
So
were you drawn to teaching at all?
Do you think you're going to be better than him?
Were you drawn to teaching? Both your parents were teachers. Did you say, hey, my parents are probably crappy teachers. I'm going to out-teach them.
Like we're going to have a teach-off?
Yes. Like they're going to teach a group of kids and they're going to end up idiots. And I'm going to teach a group of kids and they're going to end up in Mensa.
Yeah. No, I thought about it briefly.
Okay.
Very briefly.
Like those 9-month schedules.
That is pretty nice.
Right?
Yeah. I thought about it. I was actually casually offered an adjunct professor job at my old college.
Hey, we are 4 degrees from where I started with this.
Yeah.
But so let's dissect how we want to tackle what we've now opened up. Because I had the initial idea, which I just wanted to ask you how you handle people saying, boy, I didn't think I'd ever run into someone famous.
Yeah, I spit in their face and say, shut up.
Is this paid? Get out of my way. Okay, well, we wrapped it up. Appreciate it.
Won't be paying for this. Thank you very much.
Thanks, slob. Throw it in the back. Butler William will guide you.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, this is 100% serious. That's
right.
Exactly how I handle myself.
I just feel like that would be, because I've told you over the years, and it is no joke, that was my least favorite part of when we would go out.
Mm.
Because us going out, for the most part, we're left alone. If we're at a bar, restaurant, whatever. And I think you understand that, and people familiar with the show understand that. Mm-hmm. That fame is a level, it's not like A, B, or C, right? You're not even on the local news. So like your face itself is not as recognizable.
No, exactly. I still enjoy that anonymity of being on the radio.
But we would go to the hockey game, which was a radio station sponsored thing, and you'd be in front of a banner with the logo on it, and people would know you there. Mm. that was my least favorite part. So I would try to avoid saying who I was, whatever.
Right.
So I can't fathom you having super excited listener, right? Mm-hmm. Come up and with their either new significant other, longtime significant, hey, honey, it's Steve. He's famous. And honey doesn't listen. How did you react to that? That for me, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be so dumbfounded with, do I first tell them, no, I'm not famous? 2, is he about to start going through like, yeah, this is the guy that I told you about that one day did this on the radio.
Right. How do I, like, so you're asking how I handle it?
Yeah, like, 1, was it uncomfortable?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it is, but...
And 2, how do you work through that? Because I can't imagine the discomfort of trying to explain what I do to somebody who doesn't listen to the radio, doesn't listen to the radio show, doesn't care.
Because ultimately that's going to... It usually goes like, hey, honey... and then they turn and look at you. She doesn't listen, but I talk about you guys all the time. And then some kind of vague explanation about something that was done on the show 8 years ago that I don't remember. And then that person going,
So they either have to feign interest because their significant other is so excited.
No, for me, it's always just, hey, thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for people listening, people like you listening every day. I'm very lucky. Thank you very much. And that's usually like the extent of it. And it's a positive interaction. Every now and then, though, there's that one where it's like the interaction goes on a little bit too long.
Yeah.
But that also happens in regular life, too, where you're like, okay, we've reached the end of this conversation, and I don't really know what else to say. So you just kind of do that. What are you up to today?
Yeah, like never in your life have you had to go to the bathroom more.
Yeah.
Because it's just a way out at that point, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't like that because that happened somewhat recently when I was at a store buying something, or I was in the aisle and the person from the store was helping me locate something that I couldn't find on my own. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be, here's the spot on the shelf. Do you happen to know if there's, like it says here that you have 18 in stock. I don't see any. So they do the thing where they radio to somebody else. Hey, can you check on a SKU number 1249? Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. Okay, we got him in the back. He's going to bring him right out. And then it's that 2 to 3 minutes where you're just kind of standing there with the person. You're like, holidays good for you? Are you busy today?
Yeah.
You don't have to wait here with me.
Right. Like, I appreciate it. Thanks for showing me.
I know. I'm just awkward. I'm always awkward when it comes to talking to people.
I don't even know if that's awkward, though. I think that's just... I don't know. How long is an interaction like that supposed to go on?
I don't know.
To me, that had its start. Mm-hmm. That had its middle, which was showing you where it is. And it had its end. Well, let me know if I can help you with anything else. Mm-hmm. And then you part ways.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's on the other person there. I think you're excused.
Sure. I mean,
because if they're just standing there, what do? Do you just act like, well, are you now a horse? You now have blinders?
Yeah.
Right?
Just start looking at anything else.
Yep. Like, oh, boy, I didn't think I need Jell-O, but if it's away from your face, sounds like I'm getting Jell-O today.
Yeah. No, I mean, I as much as I would love to say that's on somebody else, like I said, I'm awkward too. I'm sure that there are 100 awkward interactions where people would explain that I was the one that made it weird, made it awkward, and that's all right. I'm content with who I am. I know.
Do you think there's anybody who goes to these live shows? When you guys travel the coast, travel the world, that they're sitting there again with their significant other in the crowd, going, "Yeah, I helped him find something in the grocery store, and he was really weird."
Yeah.
Like, he's totally different up there, but like he was so weird at the grocery store. I was just staring at him. I expected him to give me a bit. Right. And he just grabbed his sugar.
Perform, clown.
Yeah. He grabbed his sugar and left.
Yeah. It's that is seriously, that is one of my biggest fears. Not fears, but it's one of those things that gives me the most anxiety is when somebody walks up out of context, not at a show event or anything like that, and says, hey, you're from the radio show. Oh, I'm a big fan. I listen all the time. Blah, blah, blah. Any combination, any variation of that. One of my biggest feelings of anxiety comes from somebody walking away from that interaction thinking that I'm not appreciative. Mm-hmm. I always try to go out of my way to be like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's amazing to hear. I'm so happy that you listen to the show and that you enjoy it. I feel like I have to amp that up to make them believe me.
Right.
Because
you're not in character.
The worst thing in the world for me is to feel like somebody left an interaction like disappointed or offended or feel like I blew them off or something.
Worse, bored.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, you could call them whatever insulting name you want, but if they go home and say, God, Steve was so boring.
Like, what am I supposed to do?
I know. Fathom this for a guy like Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Or whoever, and they're out and about, and hey, it's Jay Leno, right?
Yeah.
You have two options when you run into Jay Leno. You're either going to go ask him about cars.
Yeah.
Or you're going to just stand and stare and wait for him to tell you a joke.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's what he's known for, right? So, hey, Jay, what's the new bit? Right? What's the new working man blue-collar comedy that you can unleash on me in the grocery store today?
That should be a new segment that we do where we book comedians on the podcast. And as soon as we pick up, just say, all right, do your latest bit.
Oh, let's do it. So we could even start with a smaller level. We can call our friend Purple Heart Matt. Unprompted. We still have his phone number. I have it on my DMs. Yeah. And when he answers, we just say, hey, do your latest bit. And then when he does it, or when the shock wears off and then he does it, we just click hang up and we move on.
Thanks. See ya.
Boy, that isn't a bad idea.
I like that idea. I like the potential for complete awkwardness.
And we could do that because there's a million, dumpy comedy clubs that have names on them that you just search their name, or a lot of times they'll have their social media tags. Say, hey, do you want to be on to talk about, amateur night at the Yuck Yuck Hut that you're doing on Wednesday at 6 p.m.?
We're the Yuck Yuck Hut town's number one podcast.
We're looking to bring more bodies into the Yuck Yuck Hut than they've seen in years.
Yeah.
But we digress. I wanted to get back to you nearly knocked me out of my chair with a revelation a few minutes ago.
Did I? I already forgot.
You had said that you were somewhat not officially offered an adjunct professor role at your alma mater.
Oh, this is years ago.
Okay, so this is back when you are presumably, is this NHL era Steve? Is this Jet Steve era Steve?
Jet Steve era Steve.
Okay, so bad decisions are abound.
Yeah. This was when...
I shouldn't say that. Like you said, you enjoyed a couple of hours on that thing and barely...
17 and a half hours over 3 summers.
And barely lost a penny, if I remember right.
Best darn 17 and a half hours I've ever spent on the water.
What about the 35 and a half hours spent commuting to the jet ski and to the water?
Yeah, I'd love to know the mileage I put on my truck in that same time. Like... I need an equation to see.
I also, and I know it's revisionist and it's not fair, I want it so that you couldn't afford the trailer. So you were just you were like waving down to somebody else at the storage unit to see if they could help you lift it into the back end of your truck on a weekly basis.
Right, and then to get it in the water, I just threw the truck in reverse, back down the ramp, and then slammed on the brakes.
Yeah.
Is somebody knocking on the door?
That is your daughter.
Come on in. Come on in, big girl. What are you doing?
I needed to look at Mickey Mouse, and I did to look at Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh, you want to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? What? Did Mama tell you to come down here and watch it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I can turn on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse for you, no problem. Okay.
We could look at a big TV and Ted.
Which big TV? The one upstairs. Oh, okay. Where?
Mom, leave?
How about I turn it on the TV right out there for you? Okay. All right. I'll be right out. You want to?
Oh my God! Thank God. We're gonna wrap up. I want to tease this because I do not want to forget. Coming up before the end of this episode, Steve had the tale last week about the unexpected podcast partner, and I don't know if that got me a little insecure or what. But now coming up later this episode, I need to tell the tale. I'm finally busting free of this thing. The shackles of the Steve and Kyle podcast are going to be no more. Because I finally have an outlet where I can move on from this thing and let my wings spread and fly like an eagle. And we'll get to that in a little bit because I needed my outlet for a long time. And this is finally going to be it. While Steve is occupied, I did want to mention we are back in the game of doing some giveaways here and there. We're not going to do them every week. We're not going to do them on a regular basis because it's a decent amount of work to get everything finalized with this media company, whatever. But I did want to mention we are doing a giveaway right now on our social media. That's at Steve and Kyle, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can check that out. We are giving away 5 digital copies of the movie Devotion. Right now, you can bring Devotion home on digital. Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell star in the epic and inspirational story based on true events of 2 heroic U.S. fighter pilots whose sacrifices made them the Navy's most celebrated wingmen. Buy Devotion on digital now, packed with behind-the-scenes bonus content. It's available at participating retailers, rated PG-13, from Paramount Pictures. That is a movie I am excited to watch. And we are doing the giveaway. Again, all you're going to need to do, whatever social media, the directions will be in the post. Again, at Steve and Kyle, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll do those giveaways, and if you win one of those 5 digital copies, we'll send you a DM on whatever platform there in the next week.
What did I miss?
I teased, and I only teased it on here because I cannot forget.
Okay.
I think I'm leaving the podcast.
Okay.
But we'll get to that a little later.
Okay, yeah.
No big deal. So, this was Jet Steve era.
Jet Steve era, yes.
So, rife with poor decision-making and free-flowing hair.
Oh, yeah.
And living in an apartment.
Living in a little townhouse condo type thing that I was renting from one of my roommates. My roommate was the landlord.
Okay, gotcha. Not the first time you've been. Weirdly enough, then, you've had that scenario a couple times.
Yeah, a few.
Annette, your previous landlord,
mm-hmm.
And you couldn't help yourself.
Of course, his name was Anthony.
Boy, you got to type. So how does this come about that someone from Monmouth University, the Fighting Eagles,
the Hawks?
Oh, close.
Monmouth Hawks.
That's right.
Of course.
How did they reach out to you?
Yeah, they did.
Like via email?
This was somebody that he was one of my professors in college. Okay. One of my mentors. Fantastic person.
Just so impressed with your collegiate efforts.
He was my mentor. I don't know how much he was impressed with me, but I was very impressed with him. Taught me a lot. Very, very influential in a lot of aspects of my life.
He's still with us, or
he is not. He passed away a couple years ago due to cancer.
Oof.
Yeah,
both your mentors, Jack.
Well, I don't know if I'd put Jack up there on the same.
That's all there is to know
about the grocery business.
Jack and this professor.
No. So this person, I was in contact with him a lot after I graduated. And after I graduated college, he was, like I said, a mentor. Just one of those people that was always somebody that was willing to help out and listen. And so I got to a point where I was a little frustrated at the job that I was currently at. I didn't think I was advancing like I wanted to, or I don't know. They're just those typical things when you're in your early to mid 20s and you think that you know everything, and you're like, why aren't I the boss yet? I mean, I've been here 2 years.
How have I not been promoted twice?
Right. Which, I mean, in hindsight, you look back, obviously, it's very appropriate that I was not in any other position than the one I was in. I was exactly where I should have been. And thought about changing careers, moving on, doing something different. And he said it wasn't an actual offer of a position, but it was hinted that if I was interested, he would be interested in hiring me because he was also the department head. And he said, well, I mean, let me know what you decide because we have an opening for an adjunct professor.
For everybody who's not familiar, an adjunct professor is not, I wouldn't even call it part-time.
You're not an employee. You're basically, you get a stipend for a semester.
Right. You're probably like a 1099 contract
I would
type
assume,
thing.
yeah, you're a contract employee.
But the trade-off is you don't need a degree in teaching, because you're not an actual
a lot of times
professor.
A lot of times your adjunct professors are going to be they'll work in a whatever the specialty field is, they will have experience in that field, and then it kind of supersedes whatever classes or whatever you would have to take in order to be eligible to teach that class. So I gave that a lot of thought for probably a year. Because there wasn't a deadline on it, and he basically just said, if it ever interests you, let me know, and we can pursue that. And I thought about it, and then I was like, man, it's a lot of work. Like, it would be a lot of work for not a lot of money. I think that an adjunct professor at that point, that it was like you'd make $1,500 a semester. But then again, it was one class. It was one night a week. I think it would have been like a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, a 2.5-hour class. So for the amount of work that you're actually doing, the amount of time that you're in the classroom, it's pretty good money. You figure it's probably $100 each time you're in class because you're only there 14, 15 times. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's not all it was. It's not just show up
strolling in at 8:58 for a 9 a.m. class.
Yeah.
And
you're teaching the class.
Spinning a yarn for 50 minutes and then leaving.
Right.
It's not what we do here every week.
Yeah.
But it crossed your mind, didn't it?
Oh, it definitely did.
Because at that point, I wonder how much of you is like, my mom and dad would be so impressed because they obviously at that point you'd gone through college.
Yeah, I was done with college. Again, I was probably 26 at this time,
the 25. Generation of Steve family continuing the teaching genetics had died. Brother Mike moving on to handling hedge funds and swindling poor people out of money.
Yeah.
Steve
checking the Caslap,
checking the Swedish thing that was there.
Yeah.
What was that called again? It's remarkable. I just had a meeting with our finance guy like 2 days ago. Couldn't tell you anything. That's how they get away with it.
You going back to Big Dutch Ron?
No one either. Katie's got a guy that our family is no big deal. Not looking good. Retirement, not going to happen.
Did they show you that chart where it's like the probability that you'll survive financially chart?
Yeah. They're like, well, if in this scenario, the last penny will be leaving your bank account if you draw your last breath at age, 65.
Okay.
Like, wait, that's only 3 years before me. That's only 3 years after you told me I could start.
Yeah.
You're telling me I need to die at 65, otherwise I run out of money?
But then they hit the button where you say, yeah, we're thinking about having another kid, or we're thinking about going on one vacation every 40 years.
Yeah, right.
And then they plug in that variable, and you see the chart that was kind of angled up a little bit. It's got a little bit less of an angle to it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, you were at 80% reaching your goal.
Right.
Now you're at 67%.
Yeah, me going to, Scottsdale for a week has now caused my retirement.
Long weekend.
That's right. Yeah. Now everything's a long weekend.
Yeah.
No week-long vacations, and that's just to keep that little angle.
And by long weekend, not Thursday to Monday. It's early Friday morning to late Sunday night.
Get there early Friday so you can count Friday as a day.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're going to Scottsdale, so you're gaining time on the way there.
Right. It's pretty much, you're somehow cheating the timeline by going to Arizona from where we are.
Yeah.
But again, that would, like you mentioned, that little angle that long weekend in Scottsdale on a budget airline direct. Tick, 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 tick. A little more flat.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you really like Scottsdale,
Yeah.
maybe it's worth it to you.
Right. I mean, and heaven forbid if you even imply someplace like Seattle.
What are you, king?
Yeah, a cruise? What do you need to do in retirement? Here's your retirement. You go work part-time at like a floral store.
Yep.
Okay?
You're a greeter somewhere.
Yes, and you immediately claim Meals on Wheels.
Yeah. So
you don't have to spend money on food. And you never buy a new vehicle.
Yeah.
And you stop buying gifts for the holidays.
Yeah.
That's how you retire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a depressing breakdown this past week. Did you ever mention this offer to your parents? Did they tell you anything about like, hey, adjunct professor could lead to this or this?
Not that I remember. Mm-hmm. I feel like my dad probably would have steered me away from it. I think that he enjoyed what he did. I think he liked being a teacher, but he realized that the tides were shifting a bit when he was nearing retirement. You know, it used to be just go in, teach, see how the students improved, get gratification from knowing that students started here, ended up here, you did your job. But I think towards the end of both of their careers, it was a lot more red tape, a lot more paperwork, and a lot more parents being really, really involved with exactly what you said and did.
Oh, God, I can't imagine it now.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine being in that position now and having to have parents review the textbooks that the kids are supposed to be reading and say, I don't agree with this, so they can't read it. And,
yeah, well, it's like how many bosses, you probably have one direct boss at your job.
Right.
That you report to. Now, granted, there are people above them that they report to, but imagine having your boss and then, I don't know, how many kids are in a class? 25?
Right.
So times 2. So you got 50 more bosses.
Yes.
You're not going to make everybody happy.
No.
So
there's no
granted,
way.
This was...
And that's being pretty generous by referring to parents as bosses.
Yeah.
I mean, really... That's the same thing as when people say, well, I paid that police officer's salary because I pay taxes.
Yep.
Right? It's that same self-righteous indignation that you are, they work for you, right? Well, no, I mean, they're teaching your kid what they're supposed to be taught. Now, what you want, if you want to teach your kid what you want to teach them,
go ahead.
Homeschool them.
Yeah. Now, granted, what I would have been doing is at a college level.
Right.
So it's completely different.
Imagine having a parent call in, hey, I heard you had my son reading this book by, Chomsky.
Right. Well, in my case, it would have been like by Marconi.
Yeah, right. And I don't agree with his teachings.
Okay.
Sorry?
Oh, my God.
Did the tuition check clear?
I can't think of something I would have been less equipped to do on a professional level.
I would be curious how you would handle that because we don't see it much, but I also think it's partially because you're so removed from it. Part of me thinks that might be a Jersey Steve situation where you bust one off on the parent or the kid who's complaining to, because you're right, it's a different environment.
Yeah,
that's a totally different. Like, you're in college now, handle your own business. Don't complain to me about the time of the class or the homework you got to do. Okay, you paid.
I remember
I don't care.
I still remember that being a real eye opener when it was the first couple days at Monmouth in fall of '99. I was at freshman orientation. So the freshmen get to campus a couple days earlier than everyone else. And you kind of go through all the icebreaker activities, and this is where the dining hall is. And, all of those sessions where they kind of teach you, they give you a 3-day crash course in how to be in college. And I remember one of the first sessions, everybody's sitting there and they're up, somebody's up speaking. Maybe it was one of like the RAs from the dorm or something. And they're just saying like, hey, the doors automatically lock at 9 p.m. So make sure you have your building access card, and you can use the dryers from 2 to 4 every, just like that little mundane crap. Any questions? And I remember somebody
raising their hand and saying, "What time is the curfew?" And everybody kind of chuckling. And then the person up on stage saying, there's no curfew.
Yeah.
You're here and you're an adult and you're 18 years old or 19 years old. Handle it.
That's a rude awakening.
Because I remember sitting there thinking, okay, I knew that, but I didn't really know that. So now I'm like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, you're now the Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Yeah. And the freshman seminar class that every freshman had to take, where you kind of learn how to handle, time management, and now that you're in college, and hey, don't stay out all night drinking, because I remember the teacher just saying, your parents aren't going to be able to call and complain if you do poorly on a test.
Yeah.
You're an adult, and if things don't work out, this is 100% on you. Right. So figure it out, and figure it out fast. I remember thinking, whoa, that
is a rude awakening.
It is. But it was also really exciting.
Oh, sure.
Because at that point you're completely in control. And for somebody who was, like everyone else in that situation, like most kids in that situation, didn't have that freedom.
Right.
Going into that.
So when you received this semi-offer of being an adjunct professor, were you someone that when you left college, boy, you craved college, right? Like you missed, the parties, the living there, the freedom, the whatever, the jet skis, all of that stuff.
No, I was pretty happy to be done.
So was I.
Yeah. I never had that, maybe I'll go back and get my master's.
Right.
Like, I don't even need a high school diploma for what I do.
Right.
Why would I go back to school more?
Yeah.
To get more degrees and more in debt? No.
That's what I tell everybody who asks about, college. I have 2 degrees, and say, oh, college, and did you like it? And what would you do differently? And I tell everyone, I would not go.
I liked it, and I'm happy that I went, because if I didn't go, I wouldn't have gotten into what I'm doing now.
Right.
So I didn't need it.
I don't you and Jack staring at 4 inches of pine.
Right. I don't need it for what I do now, but I'm happy I did it because it got me into what I do now.
Sure.
So if I hadn't gone to college, if I had just enrolled in a tech school, or just started working somewhere else, or joined the military or something, there's a good chance I wouldn't have gotten in it. Like, my path wouldn't have led me to where I am. So I'm grateful that I did it. I just wish that I had the knowledge in high school that I didn't need it. I wish I knew in high school, hey, I could do this. I could work at a radio station. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. I've already decided, I've prepared to tell my son when he says I want to go to college that he is on his own. That I will not help one iota.
Did that decision get made after you met with the financial guy and you saw the graph?
This was made before he was born.
Okay, good.
Because I can't think of something that's a bigger waste of money in today's world than going to college. No offense to anybody going to college right now.
It's hard to argue with that, because
I'm going to push him and beg him to go to trade school.
Yeah.
Become a plumber, an electrician.
I've said that since before Evelyn was born.
If I could go back 15 years, longer than that now, I guess at this point.
What
I went to college in 2005.
What would you go into?
I'd become an electrician.
Really?
It's insane.
I don't think you have it in you.
Oh, I do.
No offense.
But because now, obviously, having to grind what you need to grind, however many years you need to do that, to make little to no money and become an apprentice before you can really get to doing your own thing.
Yeah.
I don't have that capability. I have a family, house, all that stuff.
Right, but when you were 22 or 19.
Less than, exactly. I mean, I was stocking pop. Making, $8.50 or $9 an hour.
Yeah.
What's
Still
the
living
difference?
at home.
Yeah, and what's
when did
the difference?
you move out?
Mid-20s.
Okay.
But what's the difference between that and making little money with infrequent hours working with an electrician?
Exactly, because at least with the job in a trade or whatever, whether it's electrician or HVAC or construction or anything else, at least you know that there's a next step. You know, if you have an apprenticeship, okay, you know that you're going to get to that next level. As long as you keep your S together, you're eventually going to make it to that next level where you're, I don't know if it goes apprenticeship to journeyman or if there are steps in the middle, but why don't you do it? Why don't you go back to school?
No.
Go back to zippy zappy school.
5 years ago, I thought about maybe, but then I thought, what would I go back for? And I realized it goes back for something IT or computer software related. No, that time has passed. My wife is doing a fantastic job doing it herself. I do not have the heart and soul and stamina that my lovely wife does.
Well, we know you don't have the heart.
No.
Because pretty busted. Got a little bit of a boo-boo. Heart boo-boo. No offense.
No offense. Oh, God dang it. I thought that was the one. Hey, before we get out of here, yeah. I teased it when you had to go turn on the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
That was apologies for that. I hope people enjoyed hearing that. I sent Annette a text.
Is she alive?
She's okay. She's watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse down here. She said because upstairs earlier I kept humming the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and I don't know if you're familiar with Minnie's Bow Tunes. That's another Disney Disney song. Well, I've had the song stuck in my head for like 2 days. So I'm walking around as we're getting breakfast together singing, "Welcome to my new boutique." Dun, 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 dun. And Annette kept saying, "Don't do that. You sing it out loud. She's going to hear it, and that's all she's going to want to do all day." So I sent Annette a text saying, she's watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse down here right now. Annette replied, "She didn't need to do that. I just want you to see what happens when you sing that stupid song." So no doubt after we came down here, Evelyn said, "I want to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse."
Right.
"No, I want to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse." "No, I want to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse." "Go ask your father."
Exactly. That's how that entire conversation went. I wanted to mention last week, and I don't know if there's any progression. We'll get to that next week, about you revealing, quite shocking, that Annette brought up to you doing a podcast.
Okay.
Which, again, shocked me to my core.
You.
And you live with her.
I live with her.
I just, of a million things on a list that Annette would want to do with you. Boy, actually, I should pare that down to like 8.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot on the list.
Of things that she would like to do with you,
I
think we can narrow it down to like 10. The rest.
I'd love to hear the other 6.
All right. Of the top 3, and then the rest of the world, I would put doing a podcast, just in general, at the bottom.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast with you, like 10 steps below that even, right? In my mind, she'd be like, "Well, yeah, I think a podcast would be fun. I would like to do it, but I don't want you involved."
Yeah.
So that was shocking to me. We'll get an update on that next week. So if we want to put that so we don't forget to circle back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We'll
Typing it down right now. Yep, there we go.
It's on the spreadsheet. How could we miss it? Steve, I think I'm leaving the podcast.
Whoa.
I think I'm about, if I haven't already, I haven't checked my email.
You're announcing that on our Tri-Buy? The Tri-Buy Centennial?
The Tri-Buy-Cen.
Happy Tri-Buy-Cen, by the way.
Shirts?
Episode 350.
Merch?
Just Tri-Buy-Cen.
Tri-Buy-Cen. And our faces blow it. Nobody will understand.
No.
1 30-second bit at minute 45. Yeah, I don't think that'll catch on. I got an offer last week.
What?
And it was exciting. Not only was it an offer.
A job offer?
I did it.
What happened?
I will repost it. I made a quick post on social media because I didn't want to leave the whole day that it was released unacknowledged. I was able to appear and do 20 to 25 minute hit.
20 to 25 minutes?
On a podcast talking football.
What? Oh. What? Tell me more. Who? What?
So it's a pretty well-known sports blog. It's called The Big Lead.
I've heard of The Big Lead.
The Big Lead has spawned Ryan Glasspiegel, who is now a reporter for the New York Post.
Never heard of him.
Jason McIntyre founded The Big Lead. He is now up to bigger and better things.
Don't know who that is.
And it is now run by someone who happens to live right here in West Michigan.
Right in our backyard.
Right in our backyard.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of all the sports magnets. It's not magnets, is it? I'm thinking MAGNATE.
NATS, magnates.
Magnates? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think you're
I don't
right.
know if I've ever heard the word said before, but I've seen it written.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had a reason to say that word either outside of in a book.
Maybe put it on the poll. Is it magnates or magnets?
How do you pronounce it?
Yeah. Do you pronounce it like magnate?
Mag-Nate, like the name Nate. Mm-hmm. Magnet, like internet.
Or like a magnet, like a positive, negative, attracty thingy.
How do you pronounce it? Boy. We never make ourselves look dumber than when we post polls.
Maybe make this one the old yes, no.
Oh, yeah, that really ticked off someone the other day.
Sure did.
And honestly, I meant to pose that one correctly, and I just forgot. Because I post these while talking.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it's doing rocket science and surgery at the same time, but when you're trying to get out a decent thought or continue a conversation and post a poll that you're trying to remember the exact wording, sometimes it can be a little difficult. Mm-hmm. No big deal. So, Kyle Koster is the, I want to say he's the editor-in-chief, yes, of the Big Lead now.
The EIC, huh?
The EIC, and he happens to live in West Michigan. And I've interacted with him on Twitter a few times, no big deal. And blue check mark.
Whoa.
Yeah,
him, not you.
Oh, you think I'm paying for that? No big deal.
No.
And
Trust me, I know. I know how little of a deal that is.
I had interacted with him a few times this week. Was a lot about the Detroit Lions, who were pushed out of the playoffs this past weekend. But then
now you have given up your Lions fandom.
Right.
You are a Rams fan.
I am a Los Angeles Rams fan outside of those fraudulent St. Louis years. So lifelong is what we can safely tell people.
Okay.
Because the fraudulent St. Louis years were most of the years of my life. So I just waited for them to move back to L.A.
Yeah.
And then got back on board with my Rams.
Of course.
But I still follow the Lions, and a lot of the social media following that the people that I follow are Lions beat writers and things like that from 30 plus years of being abused by this team. Mm-hmm. So they did not make the playoffs. They still had a pretty important game Sunday night to either
knock the Packers out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they showed up somewhat surprisingly and beat the Packers at Lambeau. And so Kyle Koster reached out to me.
That's the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
That's what they call it. A little fake, though. I think they got warmers that keep it up to like 50 degrees anyway. So it's all false advertising.
Oh, look, I'm just dropping some sports knowledge.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah. Maybe get me in touch with Kyle
No,
Koster.
busy.
Narver.
No, busy. He's a busy guy. Again, blue check mark. So he reached out to me.
So how did you... Now, this is somebody that you don't know in person.
No.
I've
communicated with him. He's a Levitard fan. So I followed the Big Lead, and I followed him and other writers from the Big Lead on social media. Mm-hmm. So tweeted at him a few times here and there, and that's really it. Mm-hmm. So I wake up on Monday to a DM saying...
Have you ever DM'd him?
Yes. Once in the past, he sent me a pair of shoes that I was asking him about.
He sent you a pair of shoes?
Like a link to buy.
Gotcha.
Footwear.
Okay.
Nice shoes, in case you're looking. Like a boat shoe.
I'm going to beep that out because they are not a paying sponsor of this podcast.
No free rides. So I woke up to Monday. He said, if you want to talk Lions this afternoon, let me know. I'd be happy to.
Oh, boy. So obviously somebody backed out, right? He had a guest lined up and backed out. And
what do you mean?
Because there's no chance in hell.
Here comes the jealousy.
There's no chance in hell that you are his big guest. No offense.
What do you mean?
I mean, again, no offense at all.
Of course.
But
of course,
guy wakes up in the morning after the big game last night, and he's not thinking to himself, well, I got to get somebody relevant on. Let me reach out to, flips through the Rolodex, Kyle. Just Kyle.
Well, let me tell you what. Okay?
Tell me.
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what right now.
Again, no offense.
On this very podcast, I followed the fantastic Adam Lefkoe.
Never heard that name before.
NBA on TNT. Very, very good analyst. Smart man. Lovely man. Did a fantastic job on this podcast, by the way. If you haven't heard Adam Lefkoe, he's very, very smart. But yeah, he's a host on NBA on TNT Tuesdays. Writes for the Bleacher Report.
Right.
All this stuff.
Hoops.
Again, another, I hate to throw the credentials around, another blue check mark. And I said, of course. Name the time and place. And at this point, I'm already embarrassed because I'm like, well, I'll hook up my USB mic, but honestly, it's probably better than.
Did you sit in the chair?
No.
That you would sit in?
No. I sat in my normal, and it wasn't video anyway.
Okay.
It was just going to be an audio release. But, yeah, I was able to jump on with Kyle Koster from The Big Lead, and I'll post that link again. I tweeted it when it happened on Tuesday, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, that it was released. I posted it on Twitter. I'll post it on all our social medias.
So, let me ask you, so when he released this podcast, like if we have a guest on, which is pretty rare, but we'll say in our show notes, show description, we were joined by so-and-so.
Yeah, I'm reading
They're the director of blah, blah, blah for the whatever organization. Or actor. You may remember him from such movies as blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Did it just say, today we're joined on the, what is it called?
I don't know what it's actually called.
Okay.
The Big Weekend. Sorry. The Big Weekend.
We're joined on the Big Weekend by Kyle. Just Kyle. What is, does it say Kyle, head chief in charge of mortgage denials at Big Bank USA?
I'm glad you asked. I have the Big Weekend latest podcast leads from this episode.
I want to pull it up because I want to.
It is titled Adam Lefkoe on his new contract, turtlenecks, and embracing the chaos by Kyle Koster. Let me read you the description. Adam Lefkoe and Warner Brothers Discovery Sports have agreed on a new multi-year extension, the Big Lead has learned. Lefkoe has served as the host of NBA on TNT's Tuesday night coverage since 2019. Weekly show debuts tonight with a doubleheader featuring Miami Heat, Oklahoma City Thunder, followed by Golden State Warriors, Phoenix Suns. This feels like it's just a generic. Maybe not. Shaquille O'Neal and Candace Parker are returning to the program. Jamal Crawford will take over the chair previously occupied by Dwayne Wade. Lefkoe joined the Big Weekend to talk about his new deal, the unique way in which he approaches the job, his fashion sense, and what about the NBA most excites him. And there's an embedded player for the podcast.
So you were on for how long?
I've got it pulled up here. Let me take a no, this isn't going to be good audio because it's playing through my speakers. But let me just get an estimate. It's an hour and 2-minute podcast.
Hold on, time out.
Oh, you've got tech?
We got the tech.
Oh, good. Hang on. Is everything still recording?
Everything is. Here,
okay.
Go ahead.
So we're going to plug something in.
Plug that baby in.
Now, this didn't work last week.
Nope.
Don't know why I think it would work today.
We were trying to record in last
Gotcha.
week. We're sending audio out. So
this is just me jumping around the podcast to see when I start.
Yeah. Let's hear you.
At Macy's backstage.
Okay. Well,
our first night, we have the Thunder.
That's
and
Adam
the Heat
Lefkoe.
as our first.
Of course. I'm at minute 36.
You saw that kind of crumble the first 2 months of the season. So to see that roll.
Hold on. So that's our guy right there.
Steve.
That is
let me try to find the intro because I'm still a tiny bit laughing about it. I wanted you to hear it.
I want to know because so you were on there for what? You said like 20 minutes or something?
25 minutes, yeah.
And you didn't even end up in the show notes?
No.
That's got to irk you a little bit, right?
Not at all.
Maybe DM him and be like, hey, can you...
Not at all.
At least throw my Twitter in there.
There was no follow-up. I had DM'd him afterwards saying that was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
So
Really enjoyed it.
So safe to say 1 foot out the door? 1.5 feet out the door?
No, it's 2. This is notice.
This is it.
This
okay,
is notice.
So we have a 2 weeks notice.
Nope.
This is it.
Yeah. This isn't a paid job.
Okay. All right. I mean,
we had a good run.
I have to say, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that this is over.
Long overdue.
The fact that we made it to the try-by sen.
Let me try to get this intro,
okay,
Steve.
let's
if you
hear
want to pot it up.
You're up.
Okay. I'll try to locate
the hardest
where
thing
it
to
was.
do in basketball is shoot.
So this is still Adam Lefkoe.
Oh boy,
Right,
he's got to get a better mic.
In like 20 years.
It's funny because all of these analysts and these important people, blue check marks again, who work on TV and do these all the time, right? Radio, podcast.
At least since the beginning of COVID, when it became normal for guests to be on national TV and radio shows. It's like
they need to spend $200. Just
Not
get
even.
a setup.
Yeah.
Get a setup at home with a nice microphone, either into your computer
That's all it takes.
or into some type of. There's got to be a way, Lefkoe.
About
Is he just talking into a computer?
He plays the game
Sounds
the right
like
way. Good team.
set screens, rebounds, all that good stuff. Good talking to you, bro.
Yep. I can't believe the opportunity has arisen, and I'm
So it's
going
obvious
to
that was
milk
pre-recorded.
it
I
for
can
all
tell
it's
because
worth.
I'm an audiophile.
Because I think as I wake up this morning, this is the proudest I've ever been to be a Detroit Lions fan. It was the end of an era last night, in my mind.
Good voice, by the way. On
Victory that didn't mean much in the grand scheme of the NFL outside of the Green Bay Packers not going to the playoffs. Didn't mean anything to the Detroit Lions because they were eliminated after the Seattle Seahawks squeaked out a victory over the Los Angeles Rams
I might
in
actually have this as
overtime.
my ringtone.
Dan Campbell is the one coach in the NFL where you could be playing a game on even bigger than the playoff win in 1991, in my opinion. To join me and just share in the moment and be happy in it and talk about what it means and maybe get in to this unique experience that is being a lifelong Lions fan is a fellow Kyle Paffhausen from the Steven and Kyle podcast, who stayed up late last night.
I should say, he knew his mistake. He knew. He correct on the outro. He said it correctly.
I didn't know that we were so formal here.
But how do you like being second wheeled?
Well, I mean, my name still comes first in the title.
Well, right. I was obviously the one, he didn't care about name A.
No.
We're trying to get to.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're finally getting the recognition that you deserve.
Oh, I hope next time I can get on there and talk 80s Pacers, 90s Suns.
See, I feel like you've been dishonest with your buddy Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just introed you as a lifelong Detroit Lions fan. Have you been? Have you not told him that your allegiance has shifted?
No.
To the left coast?
Nope.
Are you still a closet Lions fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a closet Lions fan. I still follow them. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is because that's what's on TV here, right? Yeah. So if you want an NFL game at 1 o'clock on one of the stations in Michigan, it's going to end up being the Lions.
And I would imagine old habits die hard.
Absolutely. What has changed for me, though, is the way I handle those football games and the way I handle losses and wins.
Sure.
I don't care.
So you'll still follow them, but you're not emotionally invested in it.
And I can't be. I mean, it's not that far removed from, I think it was even last playoffs. So when the Rams won the Super Bowl, watching a game, and I think a couple people were over, and I was standing up because, way too overly invested in a football game. Mm-hmm. And something had happened, and I hit my fist on the chair, just the recliner chair. Yeah. And I looked down and I think I even told the story on this podcast. I looked down and I saw Reed looking at me like terrified.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that's it.
Terrible.
Can't do that anymore.
Absolutely awful.
Cannot do that any further.
Never forget it.
Nope. And that is the first thing getting brought up in therapy when he eventually goes, is the day Daddy.
Oh, he's been going.
Hit the chair.
I've
at a football game.
I've been talking to him.
So, I cannot be emotionally invested anymore. And this weekend, though, this last weekend, was the one that was this close to drawing me back in.
Okay.
Because...
Oh, that's how they get you, too. It was the last game of the season.
It was if the Seahawks had lost and this Sunday night game was for the playoffs. I don't know how I could emotionally divest myself from that, especially considering how much I truly, truly despise Aaron Rodgers and anybody who looks like him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's
the worst.
A burden.
Terrible.
And I really hate him. I genuinely dislike Aaron Rodgers, and again, anybody who looks like him. Mm-hmm. Just such a non-fan, and I think he's a scumbag, and again, anybody who looks like him just deserve everything bad that happens to him. So I was willing to be invested simply because I like seeing him and anybody who looks like him lose.
Okay. It's weird. It seems like you're trying to get to something.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Maybe I'll...
But anyway, check out our social media. 2 things this week. I will repost, and I'll post the Adam Lefkoe interview. It should already be up. Or Adam Lefkoe. The interview with Kyle Koster, podcast shared with Adam Lefkoe. I get second billing this time. I'll post it.
Seems to be your lot in life.
On all of our social media, at Steve and Kyle. Check that out, please, if you want. About 25 to 30 minutes of in-depth football discussion.
Oh, God.
With
can't think of anything I want to listen to.
A co-host that isn't just a total ignorant piece of shit about football. You can get that on the big weekend. No offense.
Oh. Damn. If I had seen it.
I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I had it was very fun to be able to talk with someone about that, that in depth, not X's and O's, but really about the Lions culture and breaking down.
You saying you don't get that here?
Oh my God, it was such a relief. I sat down. I wasn't burdened. I didn't feel like I'm going to have to suffer through minutes to hours of Jeep indignities.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. I want your serious response. I want your honest response.
Yeah.
Have there been negotiations between you and other Kyle?
No, I'll also do that for free. So no need.
Okay.
Free to free is a distinctly lateral
you're saying
move.
So you're saying that if you skip town, if you jump ship, this one it's not, you're not doing both for free. You're doing one, and that's it. So the amount of work that you will do for free is limited to one podcast.
Yeah, and I'll let you decide which one is more fulfilling.
Oh, that's simple. That is real easy. Look,
and actually, I say for free, when really I need to point out this one costs me money.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
So really, I'm making money by leaving this thing,
right,
and going to do that for free.
So you're not going to leave the account still active?
No.
Okay. No. All right. All right. Hey, before we get out of here, we gotta. I don't know if you noticed.
Do you want to do that?
Look, come on.
Pile up. Let's do it real quick.
It is Money Day.
Let's do it.
Hey, folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Sally, age 14. Dear Pig.
Bum, bum, bum. There we go.
Beautiful.
That third time.
We will start, as we usually do on a monthly basis, Steve, with our friends. The Bill Payment Processing Center.
Got to be Sioux Falls, right?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you're looking for a zip code on that, it's 57117.
Yeah, just in case.
In case you're ever in the area, stop by, give them a wave. Maybe drop off some coffee for the hard workers processing our payment, which I'm assuming, as I open, this is from our friend, Billy Stacks. And
Billy. Is that
Billy's.
Colony or Colony, New York?
You know, it doesn't even
Colony,
say.
New York, I think it was.
Doesn't say this. Yes, it is. Colony. That's got to be upstate, right? You think Billy Stacks is going by saying, yeah, I'm from New York or New York City? We talked about that before.
Oh, boy. That would be stolen valor if I've ever seen it.
Right.
I have no idea I have no idea where that place is.
It's got to be upstate.
Sounds like it.
Our friend Billy Stacks coming through with a monthly deposit. $6.50, Steve.
Hey! Thank you, Billy Stacks. Always very appreciated.
And it is also...
Hold on.
You want to do that one first?
I want to do this one over here. This one is from friend Heather and Brian Krause.
Oh,
Concord,
our
New
friend
Hampshire.
of the show, Jewish correspondent Brian Krause.
Let's see what the old Krauses sent our way.
Krause-eye?
Krauses.
Krauses?
Krauses.
Okay, just like Christmases, which they don't celebrate again.
Guys, wanted to send a sticker for the wall.
It's been a while. I'm glad we're getting to reinvigorate it.
It's Smuggler's Notch, one of our favorite ski resorts in Vermont. Enjoy. Brian, who are Jew Crouch? Well, I mean, since he mentioned it. Jew. Right.
We could have a whole dissertation on Brian Krause's handwriting.
It's not the best.
No. And mixes in capitals. Boy, Brian, you really need to evaluate yourself.
Oh, I like this a lot.
Let's take a look. How does that? Is it in the shape of Vermont? Is that what it looks
is?
like?
It's in the shape of Vermont. It says B.A. Smuggler, and it's got the glittery.
Boy, that's a really... I can't think of a much... Outside of like an adventure cruise line in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest names for anything ever.
Yeah.
Smuggler's Notch.
I like it.
I feel like I feel like...
It's like he knew that we had a spot, a Vermont-sized
that's
spot.
gorgeous. I feel like I want to drink all of the liquor and seasonal rum named Smuggler's Notch. I want to go visit an island called Smuggler's Notch. That looks gorgeous up there, Steve. Again, if you'd like to contribute to the sticker wall, anything local, anything show-related, anything you might be fun, does not have to be related to us directly. Again, we've got so many items up there.
I think
from different localities.
Yeah, 2023 is going to be the year
we fill that
of the sticker wall.
I mean, we've got things from Benson, North Carolina. We've got podcast ones. We've got WHT 100.3, Stephen King's favorite radio station. We've got South Park stickers, Cheers stickers, Hope Solo's butt.
Numerous Jeep stickers.
Right.
Cheers stickers, the Rad Racing sticker, the Side Gig Show, of course.
Anything you'd like to contribute to the sticker wall related to that, please, you can find the address in the show notes of this podcast, or you can DM us on whatever social media at Steve and Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, one
more.
That is... Oh, the opener's right there. I'm already too far invested. I already know where this one's coming from. I'm assuming this is from our friend Trevor, not in Nashville, in Dixon/Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor going to be proudly holding...
That's what I hear.
...the fathead for you at the Nashville morning and night shows, because our other good friend, Chris Pruitt, I can't fathom somebody less committed to the idea of something he offered to do. Reached out to us. Said, I'll be at the Nashville morning and night shows. And if Grand Rapids is the next show, I'll be there too. So if you need a fathead runner. And I said, do you want the fathead for Nashville? And this was his reply. If you haven't had any other volunteers, I'll take it.
Oh, all right.
So our good friend Trevor's going to be holding that fathead at the shows in Nashville. He's going to have to commute because, again, he doesn't live there.
No.
He lives in Dixon
/Burns. Far away.
Probably an hour and a half drive. And our...
What do we got? What did Trevor send?
Oh, inflation's been unpleasant to a lot of people.
Not for us, though.
I think.
Have we finally?
I think we're in the green. I think we're in the black.
I think it's black, yeah.
Steve?
We wouldn't know if it's black or green because, again, it's a place we don't get too often.
$20.23 from our friend Trevor
2023. Oh, so we're
Dixon.
kicking off the new year, 2023 in style.
The next one, I'm assuming, will be celebrating the Bi-Tri-Sen.
The Bi-Tri-Sen.
The Bi-Tri-Sen,
$350.
You know what? You can choose, Trevor.
I mean, Trevor, that's very generous of you. Extremely generous of you to send us
$350.
Thank you so much to Billy Stacks.
So what's that?
Trevor
total
Dixon, friend of the show, Jewish correspondent Brian Krause.
$26.73.
Yeah, I already forgot.
$650 in
Billy
2023, right? 26.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, 26.
Yeah. Profits.
I will transfer that into the slush fund post haste at the end of this.
Maybe
podcast.
Going for a new mixer.
I got some bad news for you.
Oh no.
And it has to do. I can. Yeah. I just gotta. Needed to try one of these.
Okay. Chucky C.
Chucky C's. We're down to 840.
These have
830 of them.
These have to survive until the Memorial Day / holiday parade.
Yeah.
In May. Okay. Tastes like a standard Chucky C.
Bit firm though, right?
Getting there.
They've firmed up
a tiny bit. Yeah, they're getting there.
Oh boy.
I mean, if we'd like to compare it to our 3-year outdated Yorks, these things are going to sound like ripe off the vine Chucky C's.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little worried.
You think they're going to survive?
Not a chance.
Are they in the freezer? All of them?
They're in this box right next to me.
Can we put them in the new chest freezer?
Yeah. Who has the time?
Again, check out our social media for that giveaway for our digital code to download and watch Devotion from Paramount Pictures. That'll be up on social media this week.
Heard you talking about that while I was out turning on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse for my daughter, the unexpected guest on this week's podcast. Big thanks to Evelyn for dropping in.
Appreciate her knocking.
Talk to you next week. Again, at Steve and Kyle, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And once again, talk to you next week. See ya.